Is this thing on? Just kidding, it's not because it's broken. Hello, what is up guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Brandon and I didn't have to say that because that's literally the name of my YouTube channel. Today I'm talking about a movie that came out recently. It actually came out probably a week ago. Oh my god, there's a spider. I'm not much of a fighter, but I'm pretty sure that spider could kick my ass. Anyways guys, talking about this movie that came out starring Seth Rogen and Charlize Theron. It is called Long Shot. Bones, man. Can't live with them, can't live without them. I have to reply to that. Like I said earlier, Long Shot stars Charlize Theron and Seth Rogen in this somewhat romantic comedy, but more comedy than it is romance. Whatever. But it's directed by Jonathan Levine, who is one of Seth Rogen's most frequent collaborators on other projects such as, let me just Google that because I don't trust my knowledge right now. If you've seen the comedies The Night Before, Warm Bodies, or that sort of dramedy 50-50, which I particularly like a lot, then you know who Jonathan Levine is. Now moving on from that information, I am just gonna get straight into it. This movie was a lot of fun to watch. If you guys have kind of grown up with Seth Rogen's comedy and kind of grown up with Jonathan Levine's style, and if you guys grew up watching, what's that movie called again? Superbad, one of the best comedies that I think is the comedy that speaks for our generation, us 90s kids or whatever. But I really love that movie, and I really feel like that kind of voice and that kind of humor has carried on through Seth Rogen's career, even though it's dipping down a little bit, kind of veering into Adam Sandler territory, where it's just kind of becoming a self-parody. But I think this movie was really great in moments, but overall as a romantic comedy and as, you know, just a story, we've seen this countless times. This movie is nothing that we haven't seen before. It's a very basic story. It's a classic story that we all know and we're familiar with, where, you know, someone who is of a lower class clashes with someone who is of a higher class, and then somewhere among all these events that happen, they begin to fall in love and begin to see that the other person is the other half of the other person, and, you know, their flaws become what empower them. And we've seen this classic story, and it works for comedies and it works for romantic comedies especially. And all those things are not knocking on the movie, because if you can take those qualities and you can make something great out of it, then all power to you. You have reinvented the wheel. But in this case, they have not reinvented the wheel. I think that this movie has a lot of jokes that push the movie forward, and that sometimes often push the plot forward, which are great because, you know, jokes don't need to just be jokes. Sometimes, and I think most times, the jokes need to be somewhat consistent with the story, and they need to not feel out of place. They need to kind of push the story forward. And I think jokes that can accomplish that are particularly well written. And this movie does that in many cases. But I think that without Charlize Theron and Seth Rogen's chemistry, this movie in other hands with other actors or actresses would have been just bare minimum, boring, very basic. And that goes to say that Seth Rogen and Charlize Theron definitely shine in this movie. And if you want to see some pretty funny scenes involving drugs, it's just hilarious how accurate and how how funny. I don't know. I'm immature, but I like those parts. But yeah, Seth Rogen and Charlize Theron have pretty good chemistry, but for some reason by the end of the movie, I never really believed their romance. I really believed that, you know, they were opposites of each other and they helped one another, but I never really bought into the romantic part of it. So that's why I feel like this, for me, is more on the comedy side. In the end, this movie is about political humor, and it's taking jabs at things that we probably are familiar with, where there are obvious parodies of Fox News, and there is this one figure that's, I guess, supposed to represent, you know, our current president. It did not work for me. It was a character played by, I don't know if it's spoilers. This is an end game, guys. It's a character played by Andy Serkis, who, like, almost right away for myself, I kind of recognized it because his voice is so deep and gravelly. You can just spot him in a lineup if he talks. But he plays this one role that's obviously an allusion to Donald Trump or figures like that, rich people who don't care about the little man and who don't care about the environment and whatever. And I got what they were going for, but he became too much of a cartoon character for myself, where, you know, the likability factor kind of went away. And I personally love Andy Serkis. He's one of my favorite actors working today, and I believe he should get more work. But in this, I feel like they underutilized him, and he's a funny guy, man. He's a funny guy, and he can do humor if you haven't seen 13 Going on 30. But in this movie, he didn't work for me. But he worked for other people, so, you know, who cares what I think. Moving forward, I just want to say that this movie, for myself personally, just wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I thought it would be a lot smarter with its humor, and I thought its political jabs would be a lot sharper, but I felt like it was very flat. There was one moment where they kind of addressed the whole Democrat and Republican debate, where it's like, you know, we need to see that these two sides, these two differing opinions are actually people, they're human beings. And they touch on that once, and they touch on how, you know, people on either side have dimension, they have character, they have beliefs, they have personal goals, and they have dreams. And they touched on that so briefly, and I feel like they didn't really build it up to that. And I know it was because it was supposed to be a surprise when we encountered this certain scene, but for me, it just didn't work because none of the pieces were really set up for that. It just kind of felt like it was supposed to be this kind of moment of clarity for Seth Rogen's character. And it was just put in there so that what happens next will hit him a lot harder. And it's not spoilers, but just, I would say this is a recommendation. Go watch the movie for yourself. Like I said, comedy is great. The moments that Charlize Theron and Seth Rogen share the screen with each other, which is basically 90% of the movie, it works. It's funny. It's funny to see, you know, Seth Rogen, this kind of frumpy looking dude, with Charlize Theron, who was literally a model and then became one of the, you know, Hollywood's most sought after actresses. Just kind of working together in a comedy, and like a straight comedy. But yeah, for me, the romance didn't work. Some of the characters that were in the movie just kind of fell flat for me. And the story is very basic. Like I said, we've seen it before. And what else? Oh yeah, and the political jabs. Yeah, we got it. We get it. The state of our current political climate isn't the best. It sucks. It might sound like I'm a little bit just tired and exhausted from the movie, but I mean, I saw it a couple days ago, so it's kind of like not too fresh in my brain right now. But from what I remember, I had to kind of chew on it, and I kind of had to think about it, and I was like, okay, I don't know if I love this movie. I'd recommend it to people if they have, you know, nothing better to do. But am I saying like this is a movie you need to go out and see? Not at all. So yeah, guys, I would give it, I'd give it like, my camera just shut down halfway through, so I don't know where I picked up, but I think I was giving you guys my score. So if I were to give this movie a score, I would give it a 7.2 out of 10. It's just a fine movie, and if you have time and you're kind of bored and you're waiting on, you know, something else and you have time to go see a movie, go see it, or go watch it with a couple of friends, have a couple drinks if you want to, if you're into that. And yeah, go have a few good laughs, and you'll see some pretty funny scenes. There's a nightclub scene that I really especially like. You'll just have to watch it to understand what I'm saying. So yeah, it's a recommendation. And yeah, what did you guys think of Long Shot? Did you guys think it was a really good movie? Did you guys think it was an okay movie? Did you guys hate it with your entire being? Let me know down below. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel already, please do. It's very easy. You just click the button and you just walk away. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and as always, I will see you later.